Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to be discussing WikiCat and share some thoughts about what I think about the project, and also discussing that I've actually been supporting the project in my Patreon and my Telegram over the last couple of years. A lot of people don't know that, but also in this video I'm going to be disproving some of the myths, the rumors, and the lies that people have shared about me, things that were not true. And we'll deal with that because I think it's important that a lot of people that publicly need to know what I have been saying about WikiCat. Now, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. And if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links will be down below in the description and also the comment section, along with the contract address for WikiCat. So the first thing is to go over the pricing of WikiCat. It currently has 6 zeros, 2, and it's actually got on a couple exchanges. We got MEXC, Gate, and of course you can get it on PancakeSwap. It's actually 360,000% above its all-time low. Now, I do think that WikiCat is going to do well during this altcoin season. It has the potential to drop several zeros, especially if other notable people get involved and back WikiCat. Now, let's just say, I'm just throwing this out there because I think it's very possible that WikiCat could drop 3 zeros before the end of this crypto cycle. But I do want to warn, because we are at the end of this crypto cycle, and every project needs to do what they need to do to protect itself from this next crypto winter. So whether it's WikiCat or ETN or any other coin, we already know that the crypto cycle is getting ready to end over the next 3 to 4 months. But currently, if you invest $100 into WikiCat right now at its current price, and let's say it drops to zero, well, $100 will get you $1,000. If it drops 2 zeros, it'll bring in $10,000. If it drops 3 zeros, it'll bring in $100,000. Right? And of course, the more you invest, the more money that you'll make. So if you invest 500 and it drops a total of 3 zeros, you're looking at 500,000. And if you put in 1,000, then ultimately that'll bring you $1 million, depending on where you buy it. If you guys do buy it on PancakeSwap, there is a tax that is added to that, or you can buy it on MEXC. So the buy-sell tax is only 2%. So that's actually good compared to some of the other projects. So like I said, I believe that this project has a lot of potential, and I believe that by the end of this crypto cycle, it could drop a total of 3 zeros, as long as we have some backing by some popular individuals and it gets on more exchanges. And a lot of that has to do with the community, making sure that you're liking and sharing and talking about this project. And actually, the developers are still working on this project. There's a lot of people that are dumping millions of dollars into some of these BNB animal tokens that they have no developers, and high tax fees. And a lot of that money could be put into projects that are actually moving forward. Now, what I want to talk about is disproving some of the myth, rumors, and lies that people and some of the other YouTubers have said about me concerning WikiCat. And actually, I've been supporting WikiCat behind the scenes for a long time. And we can go back to 2023. I've made posts on my Patreon. I've made posts in my Telegram concerning WikiCat. I'm getting ready to go over those. So there was a prophecy by somebody, a man named Joel, who prophesied that you needed to buy this coin before April. This is in 2023. Right? So in the original prophecy, which I'm not going to show, he said that you needed to buy it by April. Everybody knows this. Okay, so when the prophecy came out, WikiCat exploded. So the one thing that I said about the project was it didn't have a white paper when I was doing my investigation. And back then, 2021, 2022, 2023, if a project didn't have a white paper, it was shunned. So I brought that up. I said, well, folks, it doesn't have a white paper. People need to do your research. Then I was already suspicious because of the prophecy and how it was done, and how all the different YouTubers were getting comments from all these people about buy WikiCat, right? They're trying to pump it up. That's the way that it looked to me. And going further in, it seemed like Joel and the developers knew that this prophecy was going to come out, and it was discussed beforehand. And the thing about it is that it was okay that they got together and they discussed this. If that's what God had intended and there was no deceit behind it from the developers, if a prophet goes to a developer and says, hey, this project is going to take off, God has given me a prophecy and I'm going to have my church invest into it, and at some point God will allow me to release the prophecy, I have no problem with that at all whatsoever.
So besides the white paper, I had said on the 8th of January, the prophecy came out, the Twitter and YouTube became active in how to buy WikiCat. On that same day, January 15th, I said as far as WikiCat on the day this prophecy came out, it skyrocketed. So unless you got in right after the prophecy, people were buying at the top. WikiCat Twitter became really active in the few days leading up to the prophecy, as it had been inactive since September the 22nd. And also the WikiCat Reddit is dead. So based off of that information, I was suspicious, and I had a right to be. And I think a lot of other people would have agreed that it was suspicious on how things were launched when it came to the prophecy, and then all these social media handles became active.
So as time was going on, I was saying, hey, I think people should wait to invest. I did a video that I released and then pulled back. And I said, it was watch this before buying WikiCat. Did you really miss out or end up buying at the top? So I pulled it back because I got a lot of heat from my own people on my Telegram, on my Patreon. They left my Patreon, they left my Telegram because I didn't believe in this prophecy, and I didn't believe that you should buy this before April. I was just basically telling people to wait to buy. You know what? I have every right as a YouTuber that's into crypto, that's evaluating projects. I have every right to give my opinion. And you know what? I was right. But I pulled the video and I wish I hadn't. But you know what? I lost a lot of support over a prophecy that ended up being false. And of course, I don't see those people anymore. They didn't come back. They didn't come back to join the Telegram and all that stuff. And that's fine. But pride will do that to you. And some of those people aren't coming back and apologizing either. So I did come out with a video a year later, November 7th of 2023, and we tested the WikiCat prophecy. I also gave you a warning about Digimon Rabbit and Web 5. Those were supposedly prophetic tokens that got rug pulled. And supposedly now people are investing back in the Digimon Rabbit, which is absolutely ridiculous. They've rug pulled the project, and over $1 million has gone into that project, and the liquidity has stayed the same. And the developers are actually still moving the tax money to their Binance account or whatever wallet they were transferring to, which is kind of crazy. But we tested the WikiCat prophecy. And did you have to buy before April? Before people became multimillionaires? Right? So you can look at this chart that I made. Folks, I'm not going to tell anybody at all whatsoever that if a coin has gone up 60, 70,000% to invest, I don't care if it's prophetic or not. It could be any token. Because when a token gets that high, guess what? You're going to have a lot of people sell off. And that's exactly what it did. Rose back up again, people selling off, right? Right before April, it tried to shoot up again. But I will never tell anybody to invest at the top. And that's what a lot of people were doing. So a lot of people got stuck and they couldn't get out until recently. Not get out, or at least break even. So did you actually need to invest before April? And you didn't need to. You can go back now and you can look that where the prophecy came out, right? And there was several major dips. So you could have actually waited. And even going further with that, the end of September and October was the lowest. 8 zeros and 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, all the way to 2-9. You could have invested, right? But it's actually dropped some zeros since then. And those people who invested during that time period did very well. Now, let's look at some of the things that I said about this project after April. So June 3rd, 2024, yesterday, WikiCat hit its lowest since the prophecy. June 14th of 2023, WikiCat hit its lowest since the prophecy. So this is what I was telling people. So that is where you average down. Basically, my point is I was telling people, especially if you were involved, this is where you can average down. Right? Now, this is where I got into a spat with one of my own people that was in my Telegram. And I posted June 15th of 2023, responding to somebody else. My issue isn't with WikiCat. See, that tells me you're not listening to my videos. You haven't really read or listened to what I've said about Joel or WikiCat. Then I responded to somebody else because they said I told people not to invest in WikiCat. Tell me where I said don't invest in WikiCat, that it's a bad project. I said to wait because it will come back down, and it did. The only negative thing that I said at the time, it didn't have a white paper for a project that's been out for a while, and the way that it was promoted was very suspicious. Then I had somebody else give this response to that same person, and she said basically the same thing. Yes, TC has expressed concern about the project and how it was presented. He never said it was a bad project. In fact, he had many confirmations it was a good crypto. I believe many feel now they should have waited. It's clear as day that there was an urgency to buy in. He has always had evidence since the beginning that this project was being pumped, but held the info back for a while due to prophetic instructions. But many, including myself, had similar visions to back up what TC showed on his videos. I personally don't care if the coin goes up like 300 per coin. I don't want any part of it. Right? So even other people recognized that I didn't say those things. Right? I even said on September 7th of 2024, concerning WikiCat, there are several fake telegrams that suddenly arose claiming that there is a version 2 and to swap your old coins. Do not fall for this. Also fake airdrops as well. So if I didn't care about the project, if I wasn't involved in the project, I wouldn't have warned my own people that were in the Telegram. Now this here, I'm responding to a video from Prophetess Sharon and Marcus. Somebody had posted December 16th of 2023. Well, it's looking like WikiCat may have been baptized and blessed. Right? And there's more to that, but I posted, I agree. It's one of the reasons why I told everyone to wait. I believe WikiCat was used, as I said in my videos, and that Mappy was innocent. In my Patreon and here, I've shared several times when WikiCat had dipped to its lowest. I invested when it did. It's at 37,000% above its all-time high, which I actually meant low, and went down to 5,000% above the all-time low. If you had waited under 15,000% above all-time low, you are doing well. The prophecy itself was to get into position by April, and the truth was you could have waited. At the end of September and through October, that is when WikiCat was at its lowest. It had 8 zeros, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, and so on. And in December, because some of the buying that was taking place, it did drop a 0 because of that video. And eventually it did go back up to 8 zeros. These are just some of the examples of what I have said. May 16th, 2024. For those interested, WikiCat has been falling close to its lowest since the 2023 WikiCat by before April prophecy. Right? So again, I told people this is when you can buy. So on September 6th of 2024, I said, God is going to restore Sir Mappy and WikiCat. What God is going to do with WikiCat is about restoration. Mappy went through the fire. If you read the post I shared about his journey and WikiCat's lows, it's obvious people have missed in this group the things that I have said and shared about WikiCat within the last year. So I kind of ostracized some people because some of the things that were being said, because they hadn't been paying attention to what I've been saying about WikiCat, and they haven't been watching the videos. Right? You can see here June 25th of 2024, which was before that post I made. I talked about how the developer of WikiCat, Sir Mappy, was going through some of the fire and how he was, spending money to get on exchanges and things weren't working out. And there's a lot of other things that were tied to that. But I was sharing what he was going through, and it opened my eyes up to how projects get on exchanges, because there's not a lot of information about that. He kind of told us kind of behind the scenes. And it made me think about some of these other projects that people were in and how come they're not on exchanges when they've got in, potentially millions of dollars over the last couple of years off of the tax money, and then they never get on the exchange, and only to find out a lot of those projects were actually rug pulled, or they were just scams from the beginning. So July the 23rd, somebody had posted that they had added ETN, and I replied and said, I added more ETN over the last few weeks and WikiCat. That was before this last big rise. Then Sir Mappy posted on July the 23rd. I responded to what he said. Is an issue dealing with Bitmart and so on. And I just said, I actually tagged the CEO of Bitmart saying we need action. And then somebody had responded, Cowan said, wow, TC supporting WikiCat. And I put in there, I have mostly, if you watch my WikiCat videos, I break down everything. It was never Mappy's fault. I wasn't backing the spirit behind the prophecy from a certain individual because I discerned it was not going to happen based on other prophecy he gave on the other tokens. Of course, there's other reasons too as well. And he just said, okay, sir, thanks for this and supporting WikiCat. And I said, it's time to make the restoration video. Well, I didn't get a chance to make the restoration video at that time, but I'm making this video now. So behind the scenes, not publicly, and the reason why not publicly, because a lot of people didn't like how things went. People don't like Joel, and I have my own issues with him, and it's really, he could have did a lot more to help the project even right now. But God has actually restored the project beyond where it was, and it's going to go further, I believe. But I know what it's like to have a project that you've been working on for a long time. You work hard, and you believe that God has given it to you. And I believe that God did give Sir Mappy this WikiCat project. So that's up to you whether or not, if you want to put in, I've always said, if you don't know, just put in $100 and see where it goes. But I do believe in supporting the project. I just haven't done it publicly. And to all those YouTubers and people who have lied about me, I could call you out, especially some of those YouTubers that said that I was going to be wrong. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move forward from that part. And for those of you who stopped supporting me because of that, I was right and you were wrong. And some of the YouTubers that were talking about me, but you guys were spreading lies too as well. But now you know the truth. And that's why I think God had me not talk about this publicly and was talking about it privately and supporting the project, because eventually I was going to come out and make this. All those who spoke about me would know that what they were saying were all lies. So that's all that I have for this. I wanted to get this out here. Now I don't have to talk about that part anymore, and I don't have to have it on me in my heart or in my spirit. It's out. So I'm glad I was able to get it out and be done with it. So I thank you guys for listening. God bless.